Hi, I'm Abby Johnson, president of the Virginia PACE Authority, the leading CPACE program administrator in Virginia. We have commissioned a series of interviews with our registered CPACE capital providers that we'd like to share with you today. These short interviews highlight the programs that they are offering, as well as their interest in the state of Virginia's program and some fun facts about themselves. Enjoy! So welcome everyone. I'm Abby Johnson, the Executive Director of the Virginia PACE Authority. I'm here with Paul Thompson of Twain Financial. Hi, Paul.
Hi there.
Nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
So I wanted to give a brief overview of Twain, whom I've known for a long time, actually. I've been around in PACE for, 8-9 years, Paul, something like that, a long time, I believe. And then we're going to lead to some questions. So Twain is a $4 billion plus asset management firm that delivers a fully integrated partner experience with several funding platforms, including CPACE financing. Twain has been funding CPACE since 2016. I think I gave you guys an extra few years there. But I knew about you beforehand. Twain closed $150 million in 2019. That's great. And is on plan to close approximately $200 million in 2020 for projects throughout the U.S., including commercial real estate and renewable energy. Twain provides a full-service platform of structured finance expertise, a balance sheet to stand behind guarantees, and a robust accounting, reporting, and compliance department to support the needs of its clients. Well, interesting reading your bio or the bio of the firm and seeing you're going to close $200 million this year versus $150 million in 2019. My first question is what you're working on. Have you seen any changes in the pandemic? And I was thinking slowdown, but it looks like you guys are actually doing really well this year. So just give me a little background about what you're working on.
You bet. So Twain has been around for about 8 years. So you're right. And we've been doing a lot of different things since we started our operations, including tax credit equity at PACE, which we're talking about today. We have a ground lease platform and we do some other stuff with LIHTC. We are closing more this year than we did last year, I think in part because we're growing as an organization. So our capacity to close more is a result of more people who are originating PACE loans throughout the US. And we're also getting more creative in how we apply PACE financing to projects, particularly during the pandemic. And so we've been using PACE financing as an example to help support projects with cost overruns. And also that may be a little underwater for various reasons where PACE can come in and resolve that from a budget perspective. I think we're also seeing PACE more because it's becoming more ubiquitous in the market. There's over $1 billion, there's close to $2 billion right now outstanding in PACE at this point. And so PACE is being discussed at all levels throughout the finance community and the development community as well, both for commercial real estate and for renewable energy. And so PACE is not what it used to be maybe 3 or 4 years ago, and has grown into something that's understood to be a smart replacement to mezz financing in a way that is less expensive, but also, I think, easier to play with in the sandbox with the senior lenders too. So we're getting more senior lender buy-in than we did last year, again, because I think it's just being socialized more in the market. And it's just seen as less risky than other options that exist out there. So it's a good time to be in PACE right now.
That's great to hear. Yeah, certainly the market is growing, and those of us who have been in it a while are very happy about that, because for a while it's just really, really very incrementally growing, and it's just popped the last few years. So that I think it's, for example, we're in Virginia. I work in many states, but really focused on Virginia, and seeing now that we're getting more jurisdictions on board. BPA currently manages 5 Loudoun, Fairfax counties and cities of Fredericksburg, Petersburg, and the town of Dumfries. And we're probably going to be expanding, pretty soon in 2 more. And then we have a statewide coming in, and that's going to really help make the whole state able to be enabled more easily. And, these are the kind of things that happen that allow transactions to occur, allow more business to occur, allow you all to hire more people to be out there funding deals. So, right. So with that being said, in Virginia, specifically, we really worked hard to get resiliency and stormwater management broadly eligible, because we felt that would be something that would broaden the interest of our market. And I was just wondering if us having that on our state statute changes the way you might market here, and if in particular the Hampton Roads area, which is so impacted by flooding and storms, is an area that you would like to focus on or thought about. Just want your thoughts on that.
It's first of all, it's wonderful that that is part of PACE for lots of different reasons, but most importantly for the environment. Using PACE to support ecological sustainability, which is the intent of the policy, is just a great way to shine for anyone who's financing PACE. So my hat's off to any state and jurisdiction that wants to utilize stormwater management as a means to apply PACE. It's a smart use of PACE too, outside of the benefits from a sustainability perspective, because states and cities and regions throughout the US are looking at what they need to do to keep their water systems meeting EPA standards. And the checks they will have to write are something that they simply cannot afford. Places like Philadelphia, example, I mean, you would have to write billions of dollars of bonds to replace the water system such that it meets EPA standards. That's true throughout the US. And so there needs to be a solution that is market driven, but also cost effective. And that means focusing on parcel by parcel rather than a broad, new, green sewer system. It's just not going to work. But utilizing PACE to incorporate smart stormwater management systems within the property minimizes the impact that each property has on the water system, and therefore reduces the cost overall for water usage, and also reduces the demand and the system usage and its capacity overall, such that it can begin to meet the standards set by EPA and beyond. And on a cost by cost basis per parcel, stormwater management is something that can easily be absorbed by PACE, not only because those costs aren't going to overwhelm the project in such a way that it's over levered. PACE can come in a smart way and absorb those costs while still keeping a good LTV in place for both the senior lender and also the PACE lender. But it's also going to further reduce operating expenses such that the NOI is going to be higher too. And therefore produce value. Higher NOI means a stronger valuation. And so it's a smart way to utilize sustainability as a means to further create value within the community. Using PACE for it, I think, is a no-brainer. So we love it when it's there because it just makes the deal work that much better.
Yeah, that's very true. I appreciate that perspective. I'm thinking, you used to live in DC. I remember some of my clients, non-PACE clients, that were just overwhelmed with how expensive it was. Just
right.
To pay those.
Unless you're starting to address the problem now, the costs are only going to exacerbate.
Yeah.
So you can start today and it's affordable and there's a financing mechanism to do it, or you can push the can down 10 years and it's not going to work. And so it's a great time. Rates are low right now, utilizing market dynamics to take advantage of this financing. It checks all the boxes, in my opinion.
It does. And we're seeing, I have another, photo from my friend in Norfolk who sent me another picture of a sunny day with just the water not being able to be absorbed within the sewer, infrastructure. And so something has to happen, because obviously anytime there's a storm, it's a nightmare. There's flooding, but also that means contaminants mixing, within the different systems, storm systems. So I think I'm excited that you guys are really interested in that and want to finance that. So we'll definitely be promoting that as we work more and more in Hampton Roads through another grant we have, actually, to incorporate resiliency and stormwater into CPACE. So we're really looking at getting pilot projects, developing financial tools that address that specific component. Obviously, you can do them as part of larger projects, but absolutely, stormwater is a big problem. And then, I wanted to just ask, appreciate that answer. I wanted to ask a question, because I think a lot of us did something before we got into PACE, because PACE has, I guess, technically been around since 2009. Really, commercial PACE is really only getting going in 13, 14. So unless we're, 25, maybe 30, most of us have done something else. So I just want to know, a little bit about what you did before and why you chose now to work in the PACE industry.
Sure. It's a great time to be involved financing PACE. So I'm glad that I've made the shift and we're closing deals in a way that I think speaks to that positive trend. I spent the last 10 years in banking, largely on the credit side. And so got intimately involved with how banks think about credit decisions and how financing was arranged. And ideas specific to sustainability were largely marginalized in a way that I think were self-destructive, to be honest with you. We're talking low-hanging fruit economically to promote resource efficiency, energy efficiency, and improve your NOI. I mean, that just sounds to me like doing more with less, which is the basis for any kind of efficiency standard and any kind of productivity standard. Unfortunately, green and sustainability has gotten caught up politically. And so that what would seem to be just a natural transition for an economy has really been stymied by just positions that I think are unfair to sustainability and unfair to allowing developers, renewable energy developers, commercial real estate developers, you name it, invest in what will be the next evolution of efficiency standards and productivity standards. And that's unfortunate because you've also got an ecology that you're a part of, yeah, and you need to have that for an economy. So it's a little daunting on the macro level and, in those credit decisions. And so I knew about PACE. I had been following PACE as a policy. One, because I care about sustainability, but two, it's one of those rare instances when a policy clicks and it works and it spreads because everybody recognizes at the policy level that this is the solution. And that kind of enthusiasm I certainly felt because we're hard pressed to see when financing these days really is about solution and more about just capitalizing projects and profiteering and the like. It was an actual solution that did what it's supposed to economically, financially, and from a policy perspective. So I was getting requests on the credit side to take a look at deals where PACE was involved, and I had misconceptions about PACE.
A lot of lenders do. Yeah.
Exactly.
And I understand. Exactly. I used to say myself. So I was like, what is this PACE thing? Yeah.
Right. And wait a second, this lien priority, aren't you getting a super lien position? So you're going to wipe us out. We can't do that. We're a bank. We have requirements by the Fed or whatever kind of agency that's auditing us and driving how we put out money. But finding out what PACE is designed to do is very different than what those misconceptions are. And when I learned about what PACE was achieving, it was a no-brainer. I was in a bank previously that was lending money alongside Mezz. If I, on a credit side, was given the choice between Mezz and PACE, I would choose PACE in a heartbeat.
Right.
Lots of reasons. You get fixed financing for up to 25 years. At this rate level, that's fantastic. You don't have that with Mezz. The intercreditor requirements that Mezz lenders require versus what PACE requires, it's night and day. A senior lender largely drives the key stuff that they want to. And so that kind of forced relationship, they don't need to have it. And there are protections for the senior lender to ensure that there's non-accelerability such that the PACE lender can't walk in and wipe out all the collateral and act like a vulture fund. So when I figured out what was happening there, I said, now's the time to make the shift. I had known the founders. It's kind of a funny story, but I knew the founders at Twain before they founded Twain because I had an internship in St. Louis.
Oh, come on.
Isn't it amazing? When they were still part of the New Market Tax Credit platform at US Bank,
right.
I interviewed, I kind of spoke with them, talked to them. Hey, what's it like in this field? I wasn't planning on coming back to St. Louis, but since I was there, I got to know the tax credit team. 10 years to the month that I met with Matt Badler, I interviewed with Twain and just said, this is a message from the universe. You got to make the leap. And it's been great ever since.
Wow, that is pretty awesome. That's an awesome story. I didn't know that about how that, I knew you'd worked at a bank. I did not know that you had, known them prior to Twain and when you were just starting out. So that's really cool. And I would say that really what I'm taking away from this is the fact that Twain is unique in that you're doing different kinds of structured finance products. You understand, the organization understands how to put them all together. You personally understand both sides. I feel like that's really important because there are misconceptions and every day, and I have a, finance background in real estate as well. But I'm acting as a program administrator, so they don't take my word for it. But when you're talking with the senior lenders and working with them on structuring it, they're going to understand your perspective and, buy into it, I would assume, right? For the most part, they get that you understand what their concerns on and you're mitigating those concerns.
Let me say this, a lot of us are ex-bankers. And so we understand how to frame dialogue about PACE and how to incorporate it into the senior loan such that it's not acting out. PACE is not different from the senior loan. It's all wrapped up into the single, credit facility that's being created for the senior lender. So we know how to work it into their docs, how to structure on our side so that it meets those requirements. How to ensure that we're giving the senior lender what they need such that they feel so they can act in their best interests, both as a senior lender, but also as someone who may have to control collateral in the unlikely event of default. So we want to make sure that we give the senior lender all of that leeway as necessary within, what's good lending practices, but also with what is policy. And ensure that we're setting up a good loan on both sides. And the senior lenders hear that when they talk to us. They know that we are there to work fairly with them and negotiate in good faith. And we're not just looking to book something as a broker. We're going to be keeping it internally at Twain. We have our own servicing arm. We are, you're going to be working with Twain throughout the process, and thereafter, after closing, you're going to be working with Twain staff. So they understand that we're not some fly by night. What's that?
That's pretty unique that you're doing the servicing in-house. A lot of folks outsource it. And I guess you also have a balance sheet. You can hold the PACE if you need to or want to.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's unique too, I think.
And we're closing deals where that's the case. I mean, we have a lot of capability. We're a fund-to-funds model such that we can do a lot of different things. We have different investors out there. So, but we can hold it on the balance sheet as necessary across the board, not just with PACE. So when senior lenders hear that, they realize we're looking to play fair. And we're looking to be there throughout the length of the term that the senior lender anticipates too. We're not going to vanish. And there's a new servicer who's...
You're not the CMBS, you're PACE CMBS lender.
Right, you got it. We can do different things.
Well, that's great. I really appreciate that. And I'm going to see if you had any questions for me. So thanks, Paul. I really appreciate your time today. Those are really insightful answers to our questions. And I really just wanted to ask if you had any questions for us, for BPA.
We're excited to be working and funding PACE in Virginia. We have been hearing that there's likely going to be a single program admin that manages the state and the various counties within it. Just wanted to get your guidance on what you think is happening there and what you think the timing of that will be such that we have a better sense on how best to move forward into 2021.
That's a really great question. So the way it's going to work is the state has developed a RFP, request for proposal, for interested parties. We're going to respond to that RFP like others potentially. That's going to be released sometime like now. It could be now until the beginning of December, and will be due sometime in January, February 2021. That's what we've been told latest. What that means is that by the time you respond and negotiate and whatever, I think the statewide entity or the third party who will be contracting on behalf of the state will be up and running by the end of the first quarter 2021, and then we'll start opting in local governments. Those that already have programs, so we already have 5 jurisdictions, and we'll probably have a few more before that goes into effect. They will have the option of going into the statewide under us or staying separate. We are going to try to make them as similar as possible, because what we don't want, we already do have to some extent, is different programs with different limits and different cost structures, and that's really not effective for getting kind of a broad interest from all the stakeholders. So we're really looking to have consistency. But I would say that overall, I think by the end of 2021, you'll have almost all of the major jurisdictions opted in. That's our goal. And that's if we win, and even if we don't win, whoever wins, hopefully we'll have the same goal. So I think that you'll see the markets you'd want to be playing in being enabled at that point.
Great. Well, fingers crossed you can get there.
Yeah.
Appreciate that update.
Thank you very much, Paul. Well, it's been great talking to you. I really appreciate the time, and I wish you the best over the coming holidays.
You too. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.
Take care.